Hello, everyone. My sincere apologies for being late. I'm glad some of you still stuck around. It has been a real challenge. I downloaded a program yesterday that provided a new toolbar, and that toolbar has just caused all kinds of problems with the Firefox system. And just when I'm ready to get on the webinar, everything seizes all up. I can't load anything, and it is an absolute disaster. So, having said all that, I'm here, but I need a couple of seconds to get a little better organization. I'm not going to show you me because I didn't get a chance to get shaved and cleaned up for the webinar. So I'm just a little frantic, but I've got such important information that I have to share with you that it'll be worth just hanging around for a few minutes, and let's get this thing looked after. Got a couple of links I got to go and get. So I'm not showing my screen, so that's not going to be a problem. So let me go get the links loaded back in. Well, we've got perfect blue skies today, no clouds, just awesome. And really, really let's just see where I can find that link again. It's page 2. There it is. Okay. Can't go fast enough, can you? Okay. There we go. All right. I've got everything back up to where I need it. Got all the tools ready. Got the Google Hangouts. And we're set to go in just 1 second here. That under there. And we'll get the share screen up. All right, we're almost there. Okay, Financial Hope. There we are on the website. Financial Hope, it should show up shortly. Hopefully it will. And we'll go to the news, 2014. News. All right, here we go. The website that I want you to go to after you finish this webinar is called 16personalities.com. Take a look at this thing, free personality test. Take the test. Our readers say that 16 personality test is very accurate. It's a little bit creepy. I just did the test this morning, and I did a profile back in the, well, mid-90s, I guess, when I was the vice president of Aflac Insurance Company of Canada. And back then it was like a couple $1,000s to do this profile. Well, this one's free, and I took it. It's very accurate. For 17 bucks, you can get a really accurate overview of all the traits that your personality has. And so what I would suggest is that you take the test. Why? Well, it tells you who you are, number one, and that'll be probably the first time anybody's ever bothered to tell you who you are. And number two, it'll help you be able to relate better with the people you work with, which be me and some of the other people you're working with. It wouldn't be too hard to figure out that if we all knew our personality profile better, it would be easier to work with each other. So there's different types of profiles, of course. There's ENTJ, and that's me. There's diplomats and sentinels and explorers. So there's all these different personality profiles that you can review, and then send me your profile so I can get to know you better and know how to relate to you better. Because I know I upset a few of you from time to time the way I am, because of that's who I am. So find out who I am, and then you'll know why I upset you. Anyway, take a look at it, fill it out over the weekend, send it off to me. Your type analysis, and we can learn a little bit more about each other. So that's the first thing that came to me. And back to the news. The second is this link here. There's a real estate webinar coming up this Sunday, and it'll look kind of like this. And you'll have the ability to take this drop-down box from that Sunday, August 10th, and then you can see what your local time is. So I guess we choose that and select desired time, 12 o'clock or 8 o'clock your local time. All right. Now I got halfway through this webinar, and what I saw was really good stuff, and it really helps us that are actively involved in seeking for sale by owner properties and other types of income properties, commercial properties. I think I'm going to probably be able to develop a very good working relationship with this group of people, because they find properties and they have funding. Well, we can provide our funding to help them expand their ability to meet the needs of the various properties. So I think it's going to be a good mix. Now, I have spent, well, probably 2 full days now looking at real estate throughout the United States. I've gone to a for sale by owner commercial property site, and literally it has maybe 15, 18 pages per state, some as small as 2 or 3 pages. And the idea is that there's commercial real estate for sale by owner. It gives you a brief description. Some are pretty poor and no pictures in some, but it didn't matter to me. What I wanted to do was get the practice. And by getting the practice, I need to know how to deal with this new area of effort that we're placing. And so I've developed some letters, which we're going to go over in a moment, a little later on, that for those of you that want to learn how to do it, you can contact me and I'll send you the letters. I'm not going to post them because I don't want them misused. I want to know who's doing it, and I want to be able to work closely with them. But anyway, long and the short of it is, out of the 320 contacts I've made so far, I've had 19 respond, and out of the 19 that responded, I sent all them information, and I have these 3 letters, and I've sent 2 people all 3 letters. And both of those people have decided to learn more, and that's really good. I've had 1 no. I've got 1 person that just doesn't get it, that keeps bugging me, but she's not coachable. So I'm just going to write her a letter and basically tell her, look, you don't read, number 1, and number 2, you misconstrue what I say because you don't read, and you're never going to figure this out. So I don't need to waste time with chump properties. A little $200,000 property. I've got bigger fish to fry, and you'll see why in just a moment. Okay, so having said that, I would urge you, if you're looking to build a passive income, we have all the tools in place now to do just that using real estate. You've just got to decide to get off your butt and do the work, and it'll come to you. I'm telling you, it's really exciting. I'm having a lot of fun. I'm meeting a lot of new people. I've met a gentleman by the name of Steve that he is just phenomenal. I just can't tell you how much I'm enjoying dealing with this man. And he's probably maybe a little bit older than I am. Maybe I'm going to be unfair to say that. But we seem to have a meeting of the minds, and so he's now one of the people that is on the educational journey. He's going to bring his own personal property into the program. He said to me, can you do this anywhere in the world? Can you do it in Puerto Plata? Well, he has a property in Puerto Plata, and he owns it. And so he says, can we do that there? And I said, well, we don't have Spanish translations of all the documents. He said, you speak English, I speak English, we can do it ourselves. I thought, wow, that's phenomenal. So when you look at it, to talk to I didn't talk to 320. Only 15 people responded. Now the good news is on that website, they all have telephones. So I'm going to start phoning them all, saying, is your property still for sale? Because a lot of people, I guess, don't even bother to check their emails and don't respond. So anyway, I'm going to phone them all. So I've got lots of work to do, and you can too. I mean, there's a gazillion for sale by owner properties out there that you can be contacting. You can even contact the same ones I'm contacting. And what it'll show them is that, wow, this is getting exciting. There's more and more people wanting to do what we're doing. And that's what we have to do, is we got to get the exposure out there. So we'll work together and tackle all these and make them aware of the awesome opportunity that we have. All right, so back to Financial Hope. Now, I'm going to take a moment and just read these. We're going to be a little over time today. In an unbelievable display of arrogance and self-importance, the Australian government recently announced the most sweeping changes to their national security legislation since 9/11. Now, I know there's a few Aussies here on the webinar with me today. Let's see. We've got Errol's here, and we've got Leon here. Who else we got here from down under? Well, just a couple. Well, you're going to spread this word. You'll get to the website, guys, and get this out to your people, because the new laws will give the Australian government more powers to monitor all types of communication, both phone and internet. What's more, telecom companies will be required to store searchable metadata of all activity for 2 years, enabling the authorities to access details of every phone call made and every website visited. Can you believe that? Big brother. Now, power for extended detention and preventative detention, pre-crime, have also been extended. I'm sure it makes you feel better knowing that you could be preventively detained without actually committing any crime, just in case. I'd be in jail already, wouldn't I, for what I say and do? It will be also a crime now to travel to a country where terrorists are conducting hostile activities unless you have a legitimate excuse. Can you believe this? This is in a free country. Wow. Where did it go? I got lost there. Okay. Just how these travel bans will be decided upon is unclear. Is the Ukraine off limits? Is Spain off limits? Northern Ireland, Thailand, Russia? All of this supposedly necessary because, according to the government, there are 125 Australian citizens currently part of a terrorist group's overseas. 125. Now, even if that's correct, which it probably isn't, 125 people represent 0.0005% of the population of Australia. So for 125 people, the other 24 plus million people must be subjected to Big Brother police state. It all makes even less sense when you read the official justifications for it. Australia's Prime Minister, Tony Abbott, said that we're under a lot of budget pressure at the moment, but the community won't thank us if we skimp on unreasonably on national security. Jeez. Ironically, he admits they don't have any money for it, but they're going to come up with an additional $630 million to boost domestic spying and police state programs for all 125 people. But the prize for the dumbest comment you'll hear this week goes to another pearl of wisdom from the Australian Prime Minister. The terrorist threat in this country has not changed. Nevertheless, it's as high as it's ever been. Can you believe that? Now, as a native English speaker, I'm not entirely sure what he's trying to tell me. The government did spend the money last year, and nothing happened. But now, since, according to the Prime Minister, nothing has changed, suddenly the government has to spend another $630 million to terrorize and spy on its citizens. What a brilliant piece of logic wrapped up into political newspeak. Basically, they're telling everyone that they should just be afraid and that the government spy on citizens in order to protect them. This is how it always happens, and we can watch yet another country slide rapidly into a police state. Isn't that so sad? And there's another link here that I'm not going to bother clicking on because I don't want to screw it up, because this link up here for this program that I'm experimenting with to tie into might screw it up. But you want to take a look at that link because it's going to set the record straight and put you in some pretty good knowledge. So there's the updates for the 7th, I should say. I think I read this on Tuesday, so I won't bother reading that. But that is just absolutely asinine. $630 million for what? To spy on you? You got to be starting to bang on some doors and saying, what kind of insanity is this? Well, obviously, you know, it's Big Brother and the power elitists trying to shut us all down. Well, we're going to win. And I'm going to tell you why we're going to win. And this is one of the most exciting phone calls I've received in the last 60 days. Yesterday, Ben's been checking up on me to see my progress on these real estate deals that I'm trying to put together for the last 2 weeks. Anyway, he calls me yesterday. Well, how's it going, Gary? And I said, well, I'm really excited. Things are going very well. I gave him the statistics, 320 to 15 to some people actually moving forward and now getting on the educational journey. One of them offering his property. And so that's pretty darn exciting. He says, oh, that's very good ratios. And I said, well, I think it'll get better when I actually talk to them, because obviously just sending out that little blurb that says I want more information really doesn't give them any real reason to contact me. And I'm sure some of them either have forgot they've got the site listed, or they've sold it, or whatever. But I'll find out, and I'll get busy on it. But I'm also going to change my tact, just as I stopped promoting to brokers for the most part, because they're somebody that's in the way. So I started with the for sale by owners to get to the decision maker. Now, in both cases, the people that are proceeding are both real estate brokers or agents. So that's rather interesting. But anyway, it's fun to do, and I'm really learning a lot. And the nice part is it's not cold calling. It's something that they want to sell you something. So you're saying, hey, try and sell me something, would you? So it's a totally different tact from trying to bug them. They're bugging you. They want you to buy their property. So that's been working out really to good effect. Okay, so Ben says to me, and I'll bring up the document. Okay, let's make this nice and big. Okay, he says to me, there's another way to do real estate contracts. Now we've got Addendum 1, we've got Addendum 2, and he says, all the property you're presently working on, Gary, are probably small, correct? I said, yep, on average, 100,000, 200, 300,000, with a few just under $1 million. All of these for sale by owners, I don't think there was, maybe you've got one out of the 320 that were over $1 million. There was even properties you can buy in Detroit for $10,000. Now, it doesn't have any bathrooms to it or kitchens to it. They've been stripped naked, and it's just a shell of a house. But I did see some in Ohio, and they were $45,000. Now, get this. A $45,000 property that's a triplex, houses 3 apartments, and they're earning $1,600 a month on a $45,000 property. I thought, geez, welcome to slum landlording. But then I looked at the house, and the house was nice, clean. Yes, it was in an older neighborhood, but the inside and outside pictures, neat and tidy. Now, obviously, it could be a disaster, and I'm not really interested in a $45,000 property to buy. But what I am interested is to talk to the owner of that $45,000 property. Why? Because they probably own it outright, and they can come and use our protocols. So let's go on to what Ben said. Now, they're small enough in size that we shouldn't have too much problem finding a hard money lender who would be interested in loaning against the property, providing it fits our protocols, Addendum 1, Addendum 2. Now he says, I'm looking at a ranch in South Texas priced at $30 million. Now, we're not going to find a hard money lender with those kind of funds to work with, and most likely you won't even find a bank that could do it either, okay? Because obviously it's a $30 million piece of dirt in South Texas, which is going to be hot and arid, and probably it's been hanging out there to dry for a long time. So interestingly enough, we have found a way that we don't have to look for money for larger deals. I said, tell me more. Look at this. It turns out that one of our associates has created a protocol that allows us to issue bonds. These bonds have ISIN and CUSIP numbers assigned to them, and they can be traded. Now, I don't really know what a bond is, so as I say, Mr. B has been really nice to keep things super simple for me. He says, Gary, a bond's just an empty box, and the value of the bond is based on what's in it. So he says, here's what we do. We go and contract through our Addendum 2, which is the Zcash program, with a property seller and get the deed of trust, and instead of trying to get the loan against the deed of trust, we go ahead and drop the deed of trust into a bond box, just wrapping it in the bond. Now, he says, our brokerage firm can give us a line of credit against the value of the property in the bond right now. Well, that eliminates having to find a hard money lender or refinancing or anything. Now, this is getting really exciting. So we're in the process of perfecting the protocol right now. If we can get this done, which I believe we can, let me share with you how big this really is. This opens up an incredible world to us, and here's why. Let's take McDonald's restaurant chain, for example. They aren't really in the hamburger business. They're really in the real estate business. They have all these locations, and so the value of the property just keeps going up and up for them. But it's still value that is sunk in the ground, and it's costing them an upkeep, taxes, and additional overheads. But if they'll take those properties and bring them to our latest new bond protocol, where I give them Zcash, they give me the deed of trust, we go pop it into the bond, and take the bond to trade, get the CUSIP and ISIN numbers, and on the back end, we buy back with the profits the Zcash from them that we paid for it up front through the commercial exchange kiosk for the USD bank deposit funds for the value of the property. Let's say it's $30 million, and they use the chips to buy it back from us. And that means they can rotate that property as many times as they want. And it'll be more cash flow than the burger business would ever provide for them. And that's just using the property they already own that's costing them. It turns it into a profit center. Now it becomes a perpetual cash generating machine. Now the good news is that we can do this with any business that is willing to participate. So I said, can we start to promote this protocol yet? He says, yes. We'll have the protocol perfected by the time you can bring us a big property. So make it happen. Now, I got to tell you, it's all coming together. I'm just absolutely amazed. I've been working very closely with Anthony and Donna and with Bruce and Lawrence in Australia. Now, Leon happens to be very close to Bruce and Lawrence. And so they were talking about these big farms that we need for the hydrogen energy protocol to turn silica sand into hydrogen, and we're obviously using those guys to go out and find the property. Now Leon knows so many farmers, and so I was praying for a big property. Now we've got two. Anthony's got one for $70 million, and this morning I get an email from a gentleman that Leon had contacted off of a newspaper article. Now this gentleman is a very well-known Australian. He's a mover and a shaker. He lives on the north part of the country, and he has a huge farm, 500,000 acre farm. All right, it's a station, a cattle station. He also owns a hotel, and he owns a house. And he owes $12 million in debt. Now, you're saying, well, that's pretty personal, Gare. Well, it's all on the internet. I mean, he sent me all the links to show that all the properties are up for sale. And so I'm not telling any tales out of the school, other than the fact that the total property value of the farm is about between 18 and 20 million, depending on who you're talking with. Well, he and I had almost an hour conversation this morning. Now, that's how fast this is all coming together, folks. This is exciting. Leon, thank you, thank you, thank you. Do not stop what you're doing. I'm telling you, bring me all these people you can find, every foreclosed on or foreclosure victim. And I know you know a lot of these cattle stations. We want to get them all. And so I talked with this gentleman, as I say, for almost an hour, and he's on side. He wants to do it. So I sent him the package that I sent out to the 2 real estate agents, brokers, modifying it to his specific needs, and he's going to bring his property to the table. And not only that, he said, I told him about our hydrogen project, and I said, we'd like to put this on a piece of desolate land. And I said, is there anything on your 500,000 acres that, would be pretty remote and desolate? He says, well, how much land do you need? I said, about maybe 40 acres. He said, I can give you a spot that nobody will find ever. That's how big his property is. Now, isn't that amazing? So just because Leon's looking at the newspaper, he sees this person. I don't know how he gets a hold of him, but he had the moxie to pick up the phone and call this guy. And then a guy calls him back and says, well, how did you get my information? And Leon says, I got it from the newspaper. And he said, I'm so glad that Leon did that. Now, how many more people are out there just in the same position that this man is in, that's just waiting for you to pick up the phone and say, I've got the solution to your problem? And when they contact you, you say, well, look, I really don't know it all yet. I'm learning, but I got my good buddy Gare, and he'll help you. And then hook him up with me, and we'll move these puppies along. So here's a man that's got, a $20 million asset value between the farm and the hotel and the house, and he's right on side, ready. He's willing and able to move forward. Once he understands it, he says, I'm in. He says, I want to make some difference here. And then he says, I know just about everybody on North Australia. They all know me. I know them. And so you see, that's all it takes. This is called networking. And that's the power that we have available to us. It is so powerful. We can share this information with so many and help so many people deal with these challenges that they're faced with. Thank you again, Leon. Awesome work. That's all it takes. Somebody caring enough to pick up the phone and call somebody that's got a problem. Because we're consultants. We've got the solutions. We can fit the solution. So we can go after every major player out there, every retailer, every wholesaler, every automobile manufacturer, anybody that's got land, that's got a business, can turn that business property into a cash cow. It will just rotate, rotate, rotate. Now, the second piece of good news that I haven't been able to get my notes neat like this because I scribble them, but the second piece of news, just as I'm getting ready for the webinar around noontime, and I'm listening to this other webinar on the real estate, I get a call from Ben. Well, I don't ever not answer the phone for Ben, okay? So I answer the phone, and I've got this darn webinar going on in the background. So I'm listening to the webinar. I can't turn it down. There's no controls to turn it down. But I'm also listening to Ben. And finally, I just said, I'm going to shut it off, and I missed half the webinar. But the point is that Ben calls me, and he says, I've got even more good news for you today, Gary. And I said, like what? And he said, well, you know how we've been really hard-pressed to get HSBC Mexico to do what they're supposed to do under their services agreement? I said, yeah. He said, well, I just got off the phone with Javier. And, you know, Javier is the president of FIDES, okay? And so I guess Javier has obviously had many conversations with the folks at HSBC Mexico. But due to these new developments, Ben suggested that Javier go back and try one more time and tell him about the Documentary Fund Series 3. Now, these DF3s have only been out for maybe 3 months. Everything else we've been doing with DF1s and DF2s. And so Javier went back to the folks and they reviewed the samples. And this is what you can do. The samples are on the website. You can go take them to your bank. And for those of you that want to know how to do this, I'll give you the script. I'll send you the information, but I'm not putting it on the website. So it's only for people who are prepared to tell me they're going to do it, because I don't want you going doing stuff without knowing what you're doing, because you need backup, okay? So anyway, Javier goes and does this. They come back and they said, we can't deposit your bill of exchange. Well, you can't deposit bills of exchange, but you can deposit promissory notes. How do I know this? Common sense, folks. A Federal Reserve note is a note. It's a promise to pay. And you put them in the bank all the time, don't you? Well, the difference between a Federal Reserve note and a uniform advertising promissory note is that ours is actually worth something because it's backed by gold. It's backed by billions of Federal Reserve notes. The Federal Reserve note's backed by nothing. Now, you've got to really study this, and I've been doing this every day. I go over it, and I know now that a dollar is a measure of value, and it's a dollar or unit is a measure of value. Look it up in the Constitution, and look it up in what is a dollar, and you will see that it clearly states that it's 57.3 grains of fine silver. That's the measure of value. Anything that's measured to that value is a dollar. I hope the light bulb just went off for you. Anything that is a measurement to that value, 57.3 grams, I forget, I might get the numbers wrong, but that is, quote, a dollar. Now, a Federal Reserve note can't be a value, it's a means of exchange. Now, digital currencies are means of exchange. They've been now legalized in a whole host of countries. Australia, United States, Canada, all recognize Bitcoin and other digital currencies as legal tender. Now, the difference between our digital currency, two things. Number one, Zcash obviously has been vetted more than any other digital currency on the planet. We've been through a 6-year court battle with it, along with the chips. We've been through an IRS challenge with it, and we are obviously a party to being digital currency. Now, remember, our Zcash and chips have been around since 96 and 99, respectively. And the power of these two digital currencies is, and we are the only ones that can attest this. Think about this. We're the only ones that can attest this, that it's backed by gold, and it's backed by over 3 billion of actual cash deposits in HSBC, and it's the only currency that when you use it, it doubles. It's the only currency out there that when I have Zcash, they give me the same amount in chips. It doubles. So why wouldn't I want to be doing every transaction I ever do with Zcash and chips? So I am totally focused on that. I'm totally focused on buying these real estate properties through Addendum A using documentary funds or Addendum B using Zcash. And I've just shown you a couple of different ways we can do this. So Javier goes back to these folks and said, you know, you can't deposit the International Bill of Exchange. The International Bill of Exchange provides the value to the promissory note. It backs it up. Oh, that's what it does. Oh, yeah, okay. Legal counsel checks it all out one more time. We can do that. So yesterday, they said, but we can't do it with you, meaning Javier. And he said, well, why not? I own Fetus Bank. This is all, you know, my money. No, you're living in the United States. And FATCA, that new international law that I've talked about a couple of times on the webinar previously, we don't want to deal with the United States or anybody in it. Isn't that amazing? Proof right there in front of our very eyes that HSBC Mexico will not do business with any U.S. citizens. Oh, that's no problem. Javier's lived most of his life in Mexico. He says, I'll solve that. So they found a general contractor and gave him $10 billion worth of Zcash. Ta-da! And so now we're going to take that Zcash, get the documentary funds, and we're going to now have the HSBC Mexico using documentary funds, DF3s, to start trades. If that ain't good news, folks, I don't know what is. I mean, that's since last November we've been playing this game. And they just now get it? Well, you know, it doesn't happen overnight. I mean, people just don't get the power of a commerce economy as opposed to a finance economy. And now the bankers are starting to say, wait a second, we can make a lot more money doing this, and it's totally safe. It's legal, it's lawful, it's ethical, and it's moral. So what a powerful position that we're all in to be able to offer DF3s with Addendum 2. I'm sorry, Addendum 1 and Addendum 2 with the Zcash. So you need to go study that stuff. Now, the other interesting thing is Ben says to me, well, what about Australia? I said, well, what do we do there? He says, exactly. He says, Anthony and Bruce can both go to HSBC. Now, I know HSBC account is already set up for Anthony, and Anthony can go there, and he can make a presentation, as can Bruce, to their bank and say, we've got DF3s, and they're going to be doing refinances on their properties. And they're going to have a couple $100,000 sitting in a HSBC, maybe. I don't know where they're going to get the refinances, but it doesn't really matter. Now, think about the power of this. You got a paid-for property or an almost paid-for property. You go ahead, you get the refi. You keep enough out to make your monthly payments. You then have money sitting in their bank. You go to them and say, look, I need to speak to somebody within your bank investment services. Okay, what for? Well, I just got $200,000 sitting here, and I want to put it to work. Oh, well, I can help you with that. No, you can't, because I have a lot more than this that I want to bring to your bank. But this is my money, and I want to bring some of my partner's money, my associate's money, to the table. And I need to speak to somebody in bank investment services about depositing a promissory note backed by an international bill of exchange. And I don't think you know anything about that, do you? Well, no, not really. Okay, get the appointment. So now you go to the appointment, you sit down in front of the bank investment services officer, and you say, here's my deal. I got $200,000 sitting here, but I got the ability to bring millions to this particular bank investment services division, and I want to do business with you. Do you want to make money? Yes. Okay, great. Well, so do I. And so I'm going to give you these samples of these documentary funds, and you'll be able to take them to your legal department, and you'll see that, you know, HSBC Mexico is already taking them, and you need to be taking them too. All right? And so they come back and they say, yeah, we can take these. Great. Now, how much are you going to give me in terms of a CD value? If I bring you $30 million in a promissory note with the backing of the International Bill of Exchange, how much will you give me? Oh, I'll give you 50%. What? This is real. It's backed by all this money. Check it out. You're HSBC Bank. Check it out. We got $3 billion on deposit, cash. Plus, we have others as well. So let's do some business. You got to give me more than 50%. Okay, we'll give you 75%. Well, let's just say you're a poor bargainer and you only got 50%. No problem. You just let us know what you bargained for, and we'll get the services agreement, and we'll have International Energy Corporation, a surrogate for Fetus, contact them and go through the contract and say, okay, you're going to give us 50%, so we'll give you $60 million in the Wapen, and here's how we do it. Well, they're only going to give us $30 million in a CD and the appropriate line of credit, which would be $30 million, to start trading. We don't care. Whatever amount they say they'll give us, even if they'll only give us 10%, doesn't matter. We'll just make, instead of 60 million, it'll be, I don't know, 300 million to get where we need to go at the 10%. We want to get 30 million in there at least. And we're going to show them how to get it started. And once they see that it works, then we can bump it up to billions. So who wants to try it? I mean, it's out there. Do a refi on your property if you can. And now you got some bargaining tools. So let's say they say, no, I don't want to do that. Well, I guess I'm just going to move my 200 million to a bank. I'm doing my 200,000 to a bank that will. See if they change their tune. It's called commerce. It's called wheel and deal. It's called negotiate. All of this is available for you. You have all of the tools. And all the tools that aren't on the website are available from me. And all you have to do is say, Gary, I want to do this, and I'll teach you how. But I'm not going to spend time if you're not interested. I can't force you to get rich. This is the way to turn all your Zcash, your BBK, your chips into any currency you want. It's all there for you. It's really exciting. And so let's work together and make it happen. Now, I just want to briefly go through 3 letters that I'm using, just so you can see all the tools are in place. We just have to start using them. So let's go to intro letter. All right, so I get a contact for somebody, and again, modify it to suit your situation. Hello, Eric. Thank you for contacting me immediately. I'm sorry it took me so long to respond. Now, Eric was the very first person, so this is my very first letter. I work with a private group of real estate investors. We're looking for properties that are self-sustaining, and this property you have looks like it might meet some of our criteria, but I'm writing you today to get more information if I may. Could you please provide more details on the property beyond what you have listed on the site? And they have crap on the site. Things like, is there equity in the product? If so, how much? Or what loans or liens there may be, if any. Also, are there any issues of lead paint, soil, or building contamination, or anything else we would have to deal with should we strike a deal? Now, amazingly enough, in the responses that I'm getting, people are really open. They tell me, it's fully paid for, or I've got lots of equity. I'll be happy to give you more information once we get to know each other a little better. Or I've got so much of a loan, I can easily figure out the difference from what they're asking. No lead paint, no soil or contamination issues. Then could you provide more pictures? Well, sometimes they're lazy. So I don't go and give them any more information until I get more pictures. So I got lots of pictures to look at. And then some of them have written out some beautiful selling point overviews. They're just fantastic. Now, then I say, we don't live in New Hampshire or whatever state that I'm contacting. So we would need references for good property managers and custodians. Can you provide us that? You'd be amazed. I got people saying, look, I know so-and-so. I've already looked at one woman's website. She's a property manager, and she does an awesome job. Huge references. So very helpful. Remember, they want to sell me something. I'm not trying to sell them anything. Well, yes, I am. I'm trying to get them to see a better way to do business. So then I personally live in the Dominican Republic. I'm semi-retired here to a warmer climate after spending most of my life in the Great White North called Canada. My partners live in Texas and El Salvador, so we won't be able to visit the property on a regular basis. So that's why we need all the information you can give us to be able to make a decision long distance. Thank you in advance for your cooperation. Okay, so they send me the stuff, and then I have another email that goes out next. And this I still have to refine it, but let me go through number 2. What's going on there? I don't know. Okay, now this is to a broker. Hello, John. This is the second email that I send out that's detailed a property along with lots of pictures. So once I've got that information, I send it out. Remember, our group lives in 3 countries and 4 different time zones, so we do everything by email and Skype conference to put our deals together. This email is designed to open their minds to the paradigm shift to a better way of doing business that's not only more profitable, but provides many other benefits as well. So here's the letter. And so I really appreciate you sending me the detailed information on your property. Our group has reviewed it, and it seems like we're all in agreement that we'd like to see if we can make a deal where we can all win. But before we enter into negotiations, please answer these questions for us to see if we have a meeting of the minds. Just reply with an X in the answer you choose. Question number 1. If you have a property for sale and we follow your purchase process and we give you full asking price, is that okay for you? Yes or no? What were you saying right now, everybody? Answer, yes. All right, second question. What if we follow another process and it still gives you the same result of the full asking price? Is there any problem with that? Everybody that I've talked to says no, no problem. If your purchase process number 1 would give you what you were looking for, and our second purchase process number 2 could give you double what you're looking for, which would you rather have? Well, double. Guess what? I got a woman that just doesn't see it. Double. How can you do double? Well, I'll tell you. Now, if our second purchase process number 2 could provide us the property to enjoy, and your purchase process number 2 could also provide the property for us to enjoy, but our second purchase process number 2 could provide us with equal to the extra it provided for you, which was double. So we're going to buy the property from you for $100,000, but you're going to end up with $200,000. And as we buy it, we paid you, but we're going to end up with $100,000. Which do you think we'd rather do? Number 2, of course. So I get this little email back. Some of them don't answer it. They just say, well, geez, if I could learn how to do double, okay. I've had one person say, you know, no, I just want my list price. And I wrote her back and said, sorry, but you're not open-minded. You know, you've already got a lack mentality. And so she writes me back and she says, what do you do in saying I've got a lack of mentality? You know, they just, next, I'm not even going to spend time. I'll write her back, thank you for her time. Just don't need to be spending time with people who can't even read or don't comprehend what they read. Lack of mentality. No, I said you've got a lack mentality. It means that you just don't get it. You're always thinking, I can't get more than what I'm asking for. Well, you can. Sit down, shut up, and listen. All right? So that's the second one. When they send that back, depending upon the mode of mentality, then I'll send the third letter. Or I'll just respond and say, sorry, we don't have a meeting of the minds. So I said to John, the real estate broker in Massachusetts, this is the email to establish the foundation for our ability to provide both the seller and the buyer double what was being asked for. I know it sounds too good to be true, but I can assure you it's as real as a heart attack. You would be light years ahead of your competition when listing properties because you'd have 2 options to share with them. One is to bring their property to the traditional real estate market and hope to get the price they're asking for. And the second option would be to get double what they want and have a buyer already willing and able to do that. And we show them how. Doesn't that make more sense? Well, he's got it. I mean, he's thinking this. So here's the letter. Thank you for sending me your answers to your email inquiry. I see by your response to our questions that we have a meeting of the minds. That's wonderful for sure. I'm sure by now that you're a little bit curious about what we do, so I'll provide you some basic information here to see if we can continue to work towards a complete transaction. But first, I'd like to provide you with some world-changing economic information. Please review these 2 articles. Now, we've done this on the webinar, so we're just about out of time. So, obviously, we're talking about Bitcoin and other currency to be legally used in transactions in California. I make the notes to the articles. It's all there. Then we talk about New Hampshire and the fact that they're taking Bitcoin. Massachusetts taking Bitcoin. In fact, if you look at the map that's available, I'll send it to you if you want it. You can just go Bitcoin legal in what countries, and Wikipedia brings up this map and it shows all the green areas that the Bitcoin is being accepted. And Bitcoin is doing a great job for us. I mean, there are major forces behind that can allow us to do some pretty amazing things. And I would think that we get that going, it'll be pretty darn exciting. Now, the message being sent by these 2 individuals is that digital currency is legal tender in the USA, and for that matter, many other countries in the world, including Australia and New Zealand, And it's definitely here to stay, as it is the wave of the future, just like computers, email, cell phones, and other tools that have made our lives better. As I mentioned in our first email, I live in the Dominican Republic, and when I visit Canada and the US, these countries will not accept my Dominican pesos, but neither will the DR accept Canadian dollars and US Federal Reserve notes. So we have to use a currency exchange house. And yes, that takes a little time and a little work and inconvenience. You know, I stand in line at Western Union, when my buddy in Canada sends me money. I stand in line sometimes for an hour and a half just to get to the currency exchange. Okay, so it's inconvenient, but I need the money. So it takes time, work, and a little inconvenience to use crypto digital currencies as well. But if you could double your full asking price by accepting our legal digital currency, would that be enough incentive to accept an offer to purchase from us? If you're answering yes, then obviously you're getting it. If you're sitting there scratching your head, well, maybe next. You know, that's how this is the filter process. You can do all this through email. You don't even have to talk to them. Okay? So those of you that aren't extroverted like me, great way to find out and bring them to a point where, I don't know what to say, Gare. Would you contact them for me? Well, then we work together. But remember, I'm going to get a piece of the pie. Okay, so here's a little more detail to help you with your decision-making process. Due to the change in the law in the USA shown above regarding the digital currencies and other changes in California, Massachusetts, New Haven, and Texas federal court, where we have legal precedent to use digital currencies. We have several that we work with, and the fact is they are now legal tender anywhere in the USA and many other countries as well. What we do in our process is that we use digital currency for contracting only. But we are able to provide USD bank deposit funds if that is ultimately what you want, or any combination in between. Our process provides many benefits to you, but you'll have to learn how to use the digital currencies, a little inconvenience, to double or even triple your benefit. If you don't want to learn, you don't want everything in USD bank deposits, that could be accommodated as well. If you don't want to learn and you want everything in USD bank deposits, we can accommodate that as well. Essentially what we do is we work to create USD bank deposits through trade brokerage accounts, and that generates a lot of profits that ultimately give us double and even triple USD bank deposits, but it takes a little time. But we get so much more. Think about the last emails and your response. We all want to win big in this transaction, don't we? Think about it. What if we were to buy your property from you for double the asking price and then turn around and sell it back to you, and we accept payment for you in our digital currency and we do it all over again? Would that be of interest to you? This becomes a self-perpetuating money machine. And if you're interested, we'd love to show you how. You see, there are people out there that don't want to sell. I've seen that. I mean, 320 little blurbs I've seen, you know, motivated seller, gotta sell, retiring, illness, all of these things that cause people. You see all these houses that are half finished, or properties that are half finished. They don't have the funds to do the final repairs or the improvements, or they need cash flow. This is a sure way to help them get that. They stay in the property, they manage it as in the past, but they have new revenue streams to do the upgrades, repairs, hire the people to do the heavy lifting and management through employee gold, with them overseeing something they can't do now because of the lack of funds or wanting to retire. Is that you? So are you ready to find out more and do a conference call to get your questions answered in detail? Remember, everything we do is legal, lawful, ethical, and moral, and by working with us, this transaction, you'll be helping us spread the better way to buy and sell real estate, and for that matter, anything else as well. Each time you use our proven digital currency that's been in existence since 1996 for private members only, you double your money. What if it isn't too good to be true? You'd want to know more, wouldn't you? I look forward to receiving your response. So that's the third email. And then I attach the article, the next big thing, the wave of the future, which is the article from Success Council, and you can see it on the website. I've got a couple of versions, one specifically directed to our membership, another one I used on a call, and then I got the real estate one. So again, we attach that, we send it out, and then they can see that we're right where Mr. McNamara was when he was creating the Diners Club card, credit card. And we're at a superb place in history. We are poised to change the way the world works. Now think about this. Credit cards come out, and so all of the stores have to have point of sale instruments. Okay? They spend big bucks, they pay a monthly fee. When you use Zcash and chips, all you need is your smartphone or your computer. You go to your back office and you can be standing in front of the clerk and say, okay, what's your ICC number? All right, punch in the ICC number, boom, off goes the money. They see it pop up on the other side. Oh yeah, we can mark that as paid now. Now, you might have a few minutes it takes to do that, okay? No problem. You just go and sit in our lounge over there, and we'll take some other customers, and we'll call you when it's done. A little inconvenience, but it saves them money. You can buy in Zcash, you can buy in chips. What a fabulous opportunity we have, folks. So that's it for today. I want to thank you for being patient. We got a really rocky start. Hopefully I can get it edited out, get all that messy stuff at the beginning gone. But I'm hopeful that you'll see just how powerful you are. You just have to apply yourself. I know I sure am, and it's working for me, and it'll work for you too. It's so exciting to be changing the world does business. Commerce through capitalism to make the world a better place. God bless you all. Thanks for being here. Look forward to talking with you all again soon.